Chapter 4, Part 4. It was over in an instant. Oriumon's twin blades fell to the ground. Oriumon, wings broken, plunged toward the networked seas, ultimately slamming into the gateway. Its long body bounced onto the ground, where it lay unconscious. Yulin, too, was knocked out deep inside the Digicore. In an instant, Oriumon regressed to its rookie state, either due to the damage it sustained or an instinctive desire to protect Yulin by extending her mind-linking time. Dorugoramon also reverted to Dorumon and seeing Ryudamon lying on the ground. "The Digicore is intact," Dorumon asked as Keisuke hololized himself beside his partner. "I know you can't hear me, but I'm going to restrain you, Yulin," Kosuke said. He activated a piece of software that immediately restrained Ryudamon. The software was identical to the one used to restrain Machine Ramon on the X-Nation's data server. It didn't allow anyone to control Ryudamon so long as Yulin was mind-linked, but it would prevent Ryudamon from moving. Kosuke breathed a slight sigh of relief. One part of the plan was complete. "Apologies, Ryudamon. This was the only way," Dorumon said, though they did not seem particularly remorseful. Operation Tartarus, Phase 2, complete. Dorumon, commence Phase 3, Kosuke ordered. "Copy, partner. Continuing Operation Tartarus. And note that mind link uptime is higher than anticipated." Yet still within acceptable parameters. Even for a double S-class mindlinker like Tartarus, the fight with Oriumon had been taxing. He still more than enough time left to do what needed to be done. "Oriumon was a formidable foe," Dorumon said, looking down at the restrained Ryudamon. "Indeed. Sorry to put you through that a second time." "Had we not been mind-linked, I wouldn't have made it." "I'm sure of it," Dorumon said, not quite saying what they wanted to say. Oriumon was so powerful because they were mind-linked to Yulin. But this time, the very source of their strength was a liability that cost them the fight. That so long as Yulin harbored regret in her heart, she would never be able to stop Kosuke on his relentless quest to save Saya. "Are you alive, Marvin?" Dorumon said over the SOC leader's chat. "Barely," came his reply. "Looks like we've still got plenty of time." The SOC gathered to check in with one another and assess the situation before they proceeded. Oriumon, the Digipolice's heavyweight, defeated and restrained. AG's Digivolved Solugarmon put a stop to the two mind-linked High Command Ramon. The Digipolice forces were down about a third of the officers they came with. The SOC waved off a few mega-level leaders who were approaching their mind-link limits. The only ones left were Marvin, AG, and a select few others who held back in the first phase so they'd be able to lead the rest of the crew in later phases. The initial fighting had been fierce, and they now lacked the power to strike a definitive blow against the Digipolice. The Digimon of the Wall Slum still fought with vigor, but the code crackers Tartarus and AG incited, though their ranks continued to swell, were losing steam in the face of fierce gatekeeper resistance. "The turning point's approaching," Dorumon said gravely. The SOC couldn't risk the tide of battle shifting against them, and this was Dorumon's nudge to get them to move to the next phase. "Time for the main event," Kosuke replied. "Phase 3 of our story." Dorumon and Kosuke nodded to one another, their years together speaking for them. "Marvin, bring AG over here," Dorumon barked. "You got it. I'll strap a little protective charm to him and get him over to you." "You guys don't need to lift a finger." "You're gonna use you-know-what," right? Well, of course! When, if not now? Marvin activated a tool from his suit, and a guttural, unearthly groan flooded the open chat airwaves. Satsuki was forced to make a decision as a field commander. The left-wing platoon was half destroyed, with a total loss of nearly 30% of its strength. Technically, it is determined to be annihilated. There is no way to make up for the loss of the two High Commander MLs that were considered to be the main force. Nagasumi Eiji. I grit my teeth. Eiji Nagasumi's partner Digimon should have been a champion. Although it is unconfirmed information, it digivolved into Ultimate when it confronted the hacker Judge. But as a mind link, it lost control and should have failed. You achieved Ultimate in such a short period of time? Jump over the A-class and become an S-class cracker. This means that Eiji Nagasumi has Digivolution to a level comparable to Satsuki. That put him on Satsuki's level. She should have crushed him back in the 9th district when she had the chance. Deputy Squad Leader Tamahime? Came a somewhat uneasy voice over comms. Go ahead. The worst had come to pass. Tartarus Dorugoramon defeated Squad Leader Yulin. The Digipolice had no contingency plan for this nightmarish development. They couldn't possibly lose. They had superior firepower. They'd squashed every single rebellion through sheer force until now. At least that's how it worked in the real world. The digital world proved much different. There were no rules of engagement or laws to be followed. This was war. Left flank, retreat and regroup with the remaining forces. Right flank and center, take care of the attacking gatekeepers. It was a small mercy that they were no longer under attack from the SOC. She made the call. All units commence retreat upon regrouping. But Deputy Squad Leader, that's an order from me and the Squad Leader. I will hear no objections. Satsuki and Yulin agreed upon 3 things prior to embarking on the mission. First, that Satsuki would take command of all the Digipolice units. Second, that she would keep Numemon in their champion form and avoid engaging the enemy so she could remain mind-linked for as long as possible. Third, in the event that Yulin and Oriumon fell in battle, Satsuki was to order a retreat. The SOC is taking Squad Leader prisoner. I know! That's why there's no other choice! Satsuki screamed, as much to convince herself as to make her orders heard. The balance of power had swung towards the SOC. Fighting any longer would result in total defeat. It went without saying that Yulin understood her deputy's desire to protect her boss at all costs. She'd gone her own way to set up the Digipolice unit inside the police, which rendered her a pariah among nearly all her superiors but an idol to her officers. Nevertheless, they were part of the Digipolice and the police at large. Orders were orders. This is Tamahime. Tachibana? Sakurada? Can you move? Apologies, Deputy Squad Leader, they said simultaneously, overcome with guilt. Not your fault. Retreat immediately, both of you. I'll cover for you. But that's an order, not an invitation to negotiate. Get moving! She watched as they made their way aboard the cargo Dramon and retreated. Then the battered left flank as the remaining forces provided cover for the retreat. Where'd you go, Eiji? Seals 1? This is Tamahime. Copy, Tamahime. We have eyes on Squad Leader. Not quite sure what's happening. The Seals Dramon's partner replied. What do you mean? It appears Tartarus has hololized and is speaking with SOC leadership. It looks like they're ready to make the next move. Keep watching, but retreat immediately the second things get hot. Marvin kept Eiji covered as he joined up with Tartarus and the others. He noticed Dorugoramon had reverted to Dorumon and saw that Kosuke's hololized avatar was a dead ringer for the man himself. Okay, I fetched and delivered the new kit. I should get going, Marvin said, watching the once again just Lugamon trot up to the others. The SOC leaders had to tap out of it. Thanks. What are you off to? Gotta pick my kid up from school. Busy. Sorry to make so much time out of your day. Yeah, it's fine. I've got a good story to tell them once they're older. I can say I held my head high and put up a hell of a fight. I'm glad you see it that way. The Digipolice retreating seems as good a time as any to get out of here. I'll catch you later, Marvin said with a smile as his Digimon left. Are you really retreating, Satsuki? Eiji hololized himself and stood next to Lugamon. He looked at the Cargodramon full of Digipolice units as it began its retreat. Eiji looked back at the restrained, still unconscious Ryudamon. The police preach that his superior's orders are absolute. Unlike codecrackers who can make their own call. Tartarus said, glancing down at Ryudamon. Is this Digimon okay? And the squad leader? It's just unconscious. The Digicore's intact. I put some restraints on it just to be safe, Tartarus said, to Eiji's relief. So, what now? Lugamon asked. Operation Tartarus was proceeding as planned. It was time for the main event, if not the final phase. It should be obvious that the next step is to crack the gateway, Dorumon said coldly. Alright then. This time we're going to use the old interfaces on the prototype Digimon to access a back door to the digital world. Prototype? Lugamon asked. Old interfaces? Eiji chimed in. Puzzled, they turned to look at one another. What? You didn't know? Dorumon asked, taken aback. Don't you get all high and mighty just 'cause you knew something we didn't. End your little power trip and tell me what's going on, Lugamon snapped. I just thought you would have heard something about it from Professor Ryosenji, Dorumon protested, stoking Lugamon's ire. Oh, hang on, Eiji chirped as he caught Lugamon in a headlock to prevent them from charging Dorumon. You mean this thing on their forehead? He said, his finger pointing at the wolf's head. The interface matched the ones on Dorumon and Ryudamon. Precisely, Dorumon nodded. Digimon with those interfaces are known as prototype Digimon. So, like, they're not finalized or something? And why is my interface considered old? Lugamon's mood turned sour, likely thinking they were being called an outdated piece of junk. It must mean that it was based on an older version of the digital world. It does not necessarily imply inferiority, Dorumon calmly replied. Lugamon held their tongue. Latest doesn't always mean best, and because of their age, those old interfaces represent a massive hole in the digital world's security. A hole in the security. Like the vortexes. Back doors that led to the depths. We'll slip in where the system administrator can't see, Tartarus explained. So, there are places the admin can't see? Eiji chirped, excited by the thought. So, your old interface is old like some sort of legendary power, Lugamon. You're just as incredible as I knew you were. Yeah, I know. I'm incredible. What of it? Lugamon said, polishing the interface on the forehead with a front paw like a cat washing its face. Cracking the gateway requires 3 keys in the form of 3 types of prototype Digimon to be present at the same time. Data, Vaccine, and Virus. Dorumon cut in, continuing the explanation now that Lugamon was convinced they weren't being de-integrated. The 3 rivals, eh? Eiji said, recalling the 3 hololized objects that floated in DDL's lobby, each with a different type written on it. I'm the data type. The restrained Ryudamon here is the vaccine type. And Lugamon, you are the virus type. Got it. So, what do we have to do? Eiji said, eager to move things along. Now that he was an S-class codecracker, he could do anything, and he was ready to run headlong at their goal. You don't need to do anything. Sorry? AG asked blankly, the wind instantly taken out of his sails.
Tartarus will handle the cracking of the gateway itself. We prototype Digimon are simply the intermediaries through which the cracking will occur. Ah, fair enough. That's why it's okay for Ryuramon here to keep napping,
Lugamon said, putting the pieces together.
Precisely. The police would never agree to crack the gateway in the first place. Keeping restrained allows us to use the interface, and that's all we need.
That explains why defeat wasn't enough, AG supposed. Okay, so you'll need Lugamon's interface. What should I do? AG asked, feeling a bit lost. Lugamon and Dorumon exchanged a glance.
Pray,
Lugamon said.
Yes, pray,
Dorumon added. Lugamon, Dorumon, and the restrained Ryudamon positioned themselves in a triangle formation with a hololized Kosuke as its center. You could have just told me about all this prototype business in the first place, you know? AG grumbled. He had too much time on his hands now.
We could simply gather any three prototype Digimon of different types and use their interfaces. They must all be capable of digivolving to their ultimate forms as well,
Dorumon said. Oh, I see. So you're waiting for Solugamon to show up?
Yes, absent that Digivolution, this wouldn't have worked.
That explained the how, but not the why. Why would only Digimon capable of digivolving to ultimate work? There were theories that long ago, Digimon in the digital world could only digivolve as far as their ultimate forms. Perhaps that was it, and Dorumon and Ryudamon's prototypical nature allowed them to push past that limit, to reach Mega level.
Commencing Operation Tartarus Phase 3,
Kosuke announced. There's no cancelling the process once we begin. Dorumon and Lugamon will see their attack power drop to 0 until the gateway is cracked. We're counting on you, the rest of the SOC, to see us through. That means you, Marvin.
Counting on you, Songsmith.
Got you covered. Dorumon, AG, keep our leader safe. A low rumble emerged from the gateway as a new Digimon joined the fray. The SOC members closed ranks around the leadership in order to shield them from this gigantic machine-type threat. Is that Machine Dramon? The outline of the Digimon stirred faint memories of the attack on the X-Nation server. But Machine Dramon was destroyed. Wasn't it? No, it just looks similar.
You've seen it before, Lugamon? The red armor. That has to be
Chaos Dramon. Mega. Machine. Virus. The colossal machine-type Digimon resembled a bipedal carnivorous dinosaur. It ran a more autonomous version of Machine Run's programming tuned for maximum destruction. Most of its body was comprised of red Digizoid, a rare digital world metal created by twice refining chrome Digizoid and turning it the color of blood. It repels most any attack, and Chaos Dramon itself is designed to destroy any and all targets. Its special move fires twin Dreadnought-class energy from both its shoulder cannons in a move called Hyper Infinity Cannon. Twin beams of blood-red energy shot through the sky, unleashing pure destruction upon the gatekeepers. The explosions continued to tear through their tightly formed ranks. It was as though all the stars in the sky exploded and scattered further out into the vacuum of space. A mega-level Chaos Dramon! So this is what the SOC was after when they were collecting state-secret Digimon? But who on earth is mind-linked to it? AG said, stunned. This one's a bot, Marvin said over chat from his mind-linked Airdramon. A bot? Wait, don't tell me you're controlling it? Yep. This one's too volatile. Nobody could possibly mind. Oop! Marvin cut himself short as Chaos Dramon let out a roar. There was enough to send the remaining Digimon from the wall slum scattering like so many prey escaping a predator. Thus, Digimon was not to be trifled with, and it was loaded with an AI attack routine that was neither friend nor foe. Marvin struggled to control it himself.
Good time as any.
Lugamon muttered under their breath as they watched the other Digimon flee. What about the Digimon in the 9th district? Eiji asked.
I told them to run the second anything looked dicey.
Don't worry, Digimon in the wall slum don't do anything that doesn't benefit them personally, Lugamon said with a knowing smile. Chaos Dramon is a machine type. It's responsive to software tools, just like an android type. So long as I can keep an eye on it and feed it commands as needed, we'll be fine. Marvin used his software to pilot Chaos Dramon toward the center of the gateway area, ensuring it would be a convenient target for any remaining enemies in the area. The red Digizoid would make a mockery of any enemy foolish enough to strike it. A single Digimon changed the complexion of the entire battlefield in an instant. We've got you until you know who shows up, Tartarus, Marvin said, using a favored euphemism. Don't take all day. Sorry, Marvin. Let's go, Eiji, Kosuke barked, before turning to Ryuramon. Sorry, Yulin. I just need to borrow your consciousness and Digicore. This was no longer an experiment. It was the first and last chance he had. They were going to crack the gateway, and hopefully before they became so much rust on the ultimate gatekeeper's blade. With any luck, you-know-who wouldn't even show up. Everyone began their own mental countdown. Satisfied that everyone had their partner's backs covered, Kosuke opened a virtual monitor and entered the command. Crack gateway.